Thanks. Let me make you
Yes. Yeah, I
co-host.
have pushed the live stream, sir.
Okay, perfect. I've just made you
Oh,
co-host, so
thank
that's
you so much.
fine.
That's great. That's great.
Um, Brandon, will you press start recording for me?
Yeah, sure. Sure, sure.
Great, because I forgot I forgot in my first lesson, but I regained it. I did a recap. I went back over all the slides quickly, so
Oh,
so then they could have it anyway.
no problem. I'll do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well,
And then we can go. Theoretically, we've got about 6 people in class, but of course, in some places it's midnight,
yeah.
and midnight's very late. So they may have booked and then decide, no, actually, I'm just too tired, and therefore they head off to bed. So on one hand, it could be just you and me. Could be you,
Okay.
me, and Mark. It could be we never know who's in
Yeah,
class
no problem.
today,
Yeah. Let's
but
see.
it's
Let's
fun.
hope for the best.
Yeah. Do you have children or nephews, nieces?
No, I have nephews and niece, but not
Oh,
children.
oh, well, nephews and nieces, these you can do with your nephews and nieces. They'll love you for it
Yeah.
because they're very simple experiments that you can do anywhere at any time, and particularly the last one. You know how children love balloons and they love bubbles, and you buy those ready-made bubbles and they blow those funny little bubbles, but they still love them. Well, I get to teach you how to make bubbles that they can stand in. They can actually stand inside the bubble, and those are awesome. Yuping is coming in. Lovely to have you. Do we pronounce it Yuping? Let's see. Hi, Yuping. Is that how I pronounce your name? Okay, I hope that's the correct pronunciation. Lovely to have you in class with us tonight. I'm sure it's evening for you. And so we are going to be doing fun experiments with children. Any child, even adults, love some of these experiments that we're going to do this evening. So I hope you'll enjoy them. I want to wait about another minute or so before starting to share, and then we can start with all the fun of the things we're going to make tonight. And there are certainly a lot of things for you. Um, let's have a look. I think I may as well start sharing. It's just easier that way. Right. Today, we are going to be sharing things that are easy and simple and using things that you've got at home. It makes a great deal of difference if it's stuff that you already have in your kitchen or in your pantry, or just lying around that you can use with the children. Um, Brandon is with us today. It's wonderful to have him. He's our TA, technical assist. He will help you with anything if you have a problem. He also adds little bits and pieces for me as well. So it is awesome. All right. Now, when as learners, we learn from each other. So it's ideal if your camera's on, but it doesn't matter if it's not. If you just partake and have a few words in between, it makes such a difference to the class. If you want to, at the end, you can request, hello, lovely to see you. How do I pronounce your name? Oh, you're on mute. Can you unmute? Just press your space bar and then you can be unmute. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Am
that's
I right?
correct.
Yuping.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely. And whereabouts are you, Yuping?
Where I am now?
Yes,
America, US, California.
California.
Yeah.
Okay. And originally, where do you come from? Or your family?
Origin from Taiwan.
From Taiwan. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow. I'm over that side of town because I come from Perth. I live in Perth, Australia now. So
Wow.
So at the moment it's midday for me. On the next day,
Yeah,
I'm
this is
already
late now.
I'm halfway through Friday. Yeah, thank you for joining us. I know these classes are really late for you, but we are also have the Australian audiences that are just starting because we've just launched in Australia. So lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
Those who are joining by live streaming, unfortunately, you can't take part, but if you want to, you just have to register and then you can join the classes. And any products I mention, I'm not paid to do it. It's what I'm using. So let's begin. A little about me. My name is Sue. I live in Perth, Australia, with my husband, Michael, who's also a guide. I've been an educator for 44 years, but now I do still educate. But here in Get Set Up, I don't educate anymore. I just share ideas with my peers. And for me, that's awesome. It's so much nicer to do that. I enjoy creating and making things, including puzzles, and I have a great love of animals. That's why I do the animal series on African animals, because that's where I come from. I only moved to Australia 3 years ago to help look after my older grandchildren. Um, and so I do African animals, Australian animals, and encounters with animals. So there are some fun ones with that. If I'm not making things, then I'm doing animals. Right. Our objectives today and our agenda is we're going to do simple experiments. We're going to make some gift wrap. We're going to have fun with balloons. And then finally, we're going to make bubbles big enough for children to stand in and adults to stand inside. And that's much nicer than those little bubbles that you buy that only sort of get to that size. So this is going to be the new one. What would you like to get from the class today, Ping? What would you like to learn?
I don't know. I just want to, when I'm with such kids, they don't feel, they're just stupid grandma. They don't know anything.
Oh, how true, how true. I have older grandchildren here and I have little ones in South Africa. And the little one in South Africa, I do Zoom classes with him. So what I'll do is I'll have all the ingredients, he'll have all the ingredients, and then we work together. And he doesn't give me uphill. The older ones that are here, oh, but grandma, but they've actually now decided grandma does some fun things, and so have the neighbors' children. So when they see my grandchildren coming, the neighbors' kids arrive as well, because they also want to take part in whatever we're making or doing or creating. Janice, lovely to have you in class too. Great to see you with us. All right, now let's have a look. For our experiments, we're going to use oil. Now, baby oil is clear, but it's not as thick as vegetable oil. And so it doesn't work as well. So I use vegetable oil. Milk, we're going to be using. We're going to use a food coloring. We're going to be making marbled gift wrap with food coloring. And we're going to work with balloons. And we're going to make a jellyfish in a bottle. We're going to learn how to make the mixture for huge bubbles. We're going to do bubble wrap. So we've got, and playing with balloons, how a balloon can power things. So let's begin. These are just some of the amazing things that we're going to do today, and working with M&Ms or Smarties. I work with Smarties, but you can work with M&Ms too. Right, now what we need for our experiments. We're going to need a few glass jars or plastic jars if you've got small kids, a Pyrex dish or any biggish dish that's got sort of a depth of about that, so that you can put a liquid into it. Some little glass bottles. You'll see why one glass bottle. Nice to see you, Janice. So late. Hi, whereabouts are you?
Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, so midnight. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, I know you're exactly 12 hours behind me. So, wow, thank you for staying up so late. I really appreciate it. And hi, Cease, you back from class to class. Cease has been
Yes,
with me
hi.
twice today. Hi, lovely to have you back in class. All right,
I was
we
wondering if the person that just did the Zoom tips and tricks is that your husband?
That's my husband. Yeah.
Okay. I used to
Yeah.
do class.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, we work in tandem. He and I are both guides, and so it's lovely. We both do
Great.
different types of things. He's the more technical and business side, and I'm the creative, airy, fairy person. You'll need an eyedropper or a straw or pipette, some Q-tips or cotton balls. And that's basically what we require. So there's not much, and it's usually what you've got at home anyway. So let's play with oil and water. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some oil and put it into a glass jar. I'm going to stop sharing so we've got some view of what we're doing. Right, so I've got some oil in a glass jar. Just take the lid off my oil. And what I'm going to do is I've got some blue food coloring where I've mixed some food coloring with a little water. You do need the water because that makes sort of holds the color in a ball. And I've chosen yellow and I've chosen blue. So take another pipette for that. Right, I now put a little bit of my food coloring into my thing and I drop it in. It makes little bubbles, and these bubbles fall to the bottom. They stay on the top for a bit, and then they start dropping. And then I take other colors. You can take all different colors. I've just chosen yellow and red, yellow and blue. And then once they've landed, you can actually put the lid back on your bottle and turn your bottle upside down. And all of these little bubbles will go up and down very carefully if I'm careful with my lid. I can turn it and get the bubbles to start moving around, and I can put them at the top again and then twist that, and now you've got swirling bubbles, and the more you put in, the more they will swirl around inside. So that is your first very easy experiment to do. And then I do give you all of these afterwards in the notes, but you can also get the recording and then do it from the recording as well. But I do give you your steps of what we are doing with this. The second one is such fun. Unfortunately, because I'm at an angle and I don't have fancy cameras to show you, what you do is you take a Pyrex dish or any small dish that's got enough to be able to put a small layer of milk into it. And then you take your pipette and you drop your color into the milk, and it pretty much stays in little blobs all the way around, just as you can see in the top picture. Then taking a little bit of dishwashing liquid, you can put it onto a Q-tip. You just put dishwashing liquid onto your Q-tip. Make sure you've got a decent supply of the dishwashing liquid on it, and you then put it next to one of the colors. As you put it next to the color explodes all over the place. And if you just keep touching down where each of the colors are, you get this massive movement. It looks almost like a volcano of colors coming up. And it makes a wonderful thing. And you can do quite a few, then eventually it goes kind of brown. And then you have but just a very small layer. You don't want to waste milk, but by using just a small layer of it, you are able to do it. And then the Q-tip, because the color does not, and the milk does not like the consistency of your dishwashing liquid, it explodes. And the kids love it. They make all sorts of patterns with it. And if you swirl it, you'll see little rivers of color starting to form. And it is great. So you can really make amazing things with your colors. Nice and simple, and things you have at home. Another one you can do is jumping colors. You take your milk again in a bowl or a plate, and you put just some little drops of the color in the center of the bowl this time, not all over the place. They can actually all mix into each other. They can go together. Then using a cotton bud, you dip your cotton bud in your dishwashing liquid again and just touch down. Wow, the colors escape to the edge of your container. They just take off and they go to the edge of the container. And having seen them move like that, the children are fascinated. And you can do it with one color, you can do it with mixed colors, and you can see these wonderful patterns form as the colors take off and just disappear. They do not like the dishwashing liquid. It's the consistency and the chemical in it that sends it flying. And again, the exploding colors, they love it when the colors explode. Very simple, very, very easy, but so effective. The third one, using oil again. This one, unfortunately, I can't make because you need warm water. So what you do is you take two glasses. One, you put some warm water into it, and the other one, you put some oil in it. You pour warm water into a glass until it is 3/4 full. And then the other glass, you put just a few spoonfuls of oil and 4 or 5 drops of food coloring. Now, you can add other different colors to the oil as well, and you sort of use a fork and you mix it through so that it goes into it, it mixes into the oil nicely, and it spreads the colors all the way through the oil. Then, with the warm water in your glass, you now add this oil that's got these mixtures in it, and it looks like a firework display. The colors just explode all over the glass, and they twirl and they twist, and you get all these vibrant colors moving around because of the oil and the water mix. Where they don't mix with each other, they just send each other all over the place. And with the food coloring in it, that causes the food coloring to try and escape from the oil and get to the water. And that's what causes all this fireworks that you are seeing. The children, again, have great fun making this and great fun doing it. And it's a very simple, simple exercise to do. But boy, does it work. I so far haven't had a failure yet, but there's always a first time. I was telling Brandon, I decided my very first time that I did this, I decided to, using my laptop, bring the camera down of the laptop so you could see what I was doing. But I bumped over the oil. I had it on a tray, and suddenly there was oil going everywhere. And I obviously squawked because the next thing, my husband came flying down the passage and took this tray with this floating oil off my lap, because there was no way I could carry on with the other experiments, worrying that this oil was going to seep onto the floor and my trousers and everywhere else. But so this is the one class where things can go horribly wrong or be really good. So it's quite an exciting class, bit of a nerve-wracking class actually, because it can be excellent and oops, we can have some oopses. Now this one, my grandchildren really enjoyed doing. What you do is you take some M&Ms or Smarties. I've got Smarties here, but you can take M&Ms as well. And you put them in a circle. I'm going to see whether you can see it. Yes, you can. Let me just stop sharing and then you can see it. Right, I've put them in, whoops, a circle. I did have them in a circle before they decided to leave. Then what you do is you take a little bit of water, just enough water to be able, where's my water? With a pipette, If you've got a bigger container, if you've done it on a big plate, then it's different. But you take it and you just add water to the center, and until the water touches the M&Ms. It can be any sweet that is covered with a colored outer covering, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the colored outer covering. Come on, I'm nearly finished. Really taking its time to make sure that it's covered. Then leaving it to stand just for a few minutes, you will immediately start to see the color seeping into the center of the container. Now, I took a photo, but I'm not sure if it's going to show. I'm hoping it's going to show of last lesson, but there is a picture anyway. No, it's too much color. My last lesson, the colors started to run into the center so beautifully. They looked exactly the same as the shared screen that we've got here. The colors go into the center because all plates seem to sort of go in the middle, and all the colors run like a rainbow into the center. And I had 13-year-olds, I had 6-year-olds, I even had a 4-year-old. They were all fascinated watching the color of their sweet go into the center. And of course, once it was done, they could eat it as well. So that for them was the best. So they can eat and do. But it's lovely to see how the colors didn't mix. They didn't just become a brown mess. Only once you start shaking the water around does it become a mixture of color. But until you do that, you have this perfect rainbow sitting there, and it really is so attractive to see these colors here. And this one, I've also never had a failure yet. There's always a first time, but I haven't had my failure yet on that. Great fun for the children. Who thinks they'd like to try something like that?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's a nice, easy idea to work with. Yuping, will you also try it?
I will try it.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. It's great fun. It's great fun. And there are my Boredom Busters structures for kids is also awesome. That adults do. And they get so competitive. I think they're more competitive than the children. Now, the next one we're doing is a lovely one for us. I mean, it's for children as well, but for us, it is a great one to do. What you do is you take a plate, or I've just used an ordinary plate, and I've put some shaving cream onto the plate. I just put a thin layer of shaving cream and I made it nice and smooth. Then I put drops of food coloring onto it and took a fork and wound the fork through the food coloring so that it made a pattern. As you can see, I don't think this is going to fall off my plate. Right. Once you've done that, you take paper. Now, if you're wanting to make a big piece, you just put it down, lift, put the next part of it down, lift, put the next part of it down, lift. And then lift it off. You don't need to leave it on for more than a couple of seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then it comes off like this. And all you do, I leave it for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then you take some paper or tissues and you just wipe off the excess shaving cream. And you're left with a really interesting pattern. Here's my one that's still got the shaving cream on it at the moment. I've done it in layers for you. This one's still got, if I hold it this way, you can see it's still got the shaving cream on it. And then all I do is I take my tissue and I wipe the shaving cream off, and it leaves the beautiful pattern behind. So the pattern that you had made is now left behind, and you then leave it to dry. The one mistake you can make is putting too much shaving cream. Rather have too little than too much shaving cream. And then it's much easier for you to be able. So if you're wanting, you haven't got any wrapping paper, and you've got some shaving cream from in the house, it's wonderful. It's very quick, very easy to make. Takes about 5 minutes to dry, and then it's ready. And you can then use it to wrap a present for somebody, and it's a really original kind of wrapping paper.
Mhm.
So the children can make it and then wrap presents for mom and dad or for their friends. They can put a pen in it or anything they want to. They can then wrap it up. Put that there so it doesn't get lost. And whatever colors you've got of food coloring, you make it those colors. You can have rainbows, you can have all sorts, and it really does make for a beautiful, beautiful piece of gift wrap. Something Christmas time, you can wrap it with reds and greens. If you're going to give your friend a present at the 4th of July, do it in red, blue, and white. And then you've got your colors scheme right for that. So just arrange your coloring according to what you want. Right. So that is a very easy one to do. It works so well. You can make waves, you can make all sorts with it. And then all you do is paper towel it off and it leaves a perfect pattern. I thought when I first did it that I was just going to end up with a smudge of color, but you don't. Each one of those colors stick to where they are on the paper. So who would like to try that one?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice one to make as a unique gift for somebody. So it allows you to do it. You can, oh yes, you can also iron on it. Oh, Brandon's been adding little words for us here. Great. You can use a spoon. Thank you, Brandon. This is wonderful. I've got James and Brandon who always add extras to what I'm making, and it just makes it such fun. All right. Now, let's see. How about a jellyfish in a bottle? A jellyfish in a bottle is simple to make. My granddaughter arrives every time. She comes straight into my office and plays with my jellyfish. And then for about 10, 15 minutes, then she's off to do something else. But she really loves the jellyfish. All you do is take a small Ziploc bag. You push your finger through the plastic so that the plastic is pretending this is the bag. You do that so that you've got a little head. And then you wrap some string around that headpiece and you cut strips at the bottom. You're going to cut off 90% of the bag at the bottom and just leave about 6 or 8 little strands hanging down. Do not try and have more because then it just clogs up the bottle and it doesn't work as well. So then what you do is you turn it upside down, open it up slightly and add water, but leave a little bit of air. Then with a piece of string or piece of cotton or an elastic band, you tie it tight. Turn it upside down or keep it that way up, put it into a bottle. And then you can add a little bit of blue food coloring to the bottle. Now, I'm going to use a light underneath mine. In fact, let me just to stop and share. It's easier that way. Now, I've got mine in the bottle. There at the very top of my bottle is my jellyfish. I'll turn my bottle upside down and you can see there goes my jellyfish. It's turning around and now there's my jellyfish facing the top. I can turn it back again and my jellyfish turns over and heads off up to the top. Oh, he's not so happy. He hasn't got enough air left in him. There he goes. And he's now at the top of the bottle. So every now and again, you have to take him out and let out a little bit of water. There he goes, nicely to the top. You've got your jellyfish. And the kids love it. They play with it and have fun. There. Oh, now he's working really well. There he goes, up to the top. So it's a fun thing to do, not difficult, but gives them hours of fun afterwards. And whenever you want to, or if he starts getting a bit sluggish, just let out a little bit of the water that might have seeped in. So there's a little bit more air at the top and he continues to work perfectly. So that is another fun experiment to make and do. Jellyfish in a bottle. Right. So now we've done quite a few different experiments, and these are all to do with food coloring and water. Now we're moving on to a completely different kind of thing. We're going to do experiments with balloons. Now, playing with balloons is great fun. There are many different ways that you can play with your balloons. The first one is one that isn't on the things, but is so easy. You take yourself, I'm going to have a dog that's going to vanish. He doesn't like the sound of this at all. I've put it on back to front. That wasn't very clever. You take a balloon, blow up the balloon, and stick a straw onto it just with some tape. Then you thread a piece of string through the straw. Hopefully mine's going to go through. I had it all beautifully done. Where have you gone? Nearly lost my string. Let's get my string back. Tie the end of the string together so that it doesn't get all stuck inside the balloon. There it goes. Yeah, Bear, you heard it. You can go. Come on, when's it go? There we are. Come out the other end. Right, so I've now got, and on this piece, you tie to something as far away as you can, depending on the length of your string. You can either make it go upwards or you can make it just go horizontal. I've put a bar up in my office to tie this onto so that I've now got it. Now, pulling your string straight and blowing up your balloon. Which way are you going? I now hold my string as tight as I can and I release my balloon. I'm trying to make it as far as you said you can see it. Whoop. Oh, that wasn't very good. Told you it doesn't always work out. Hold it tight and now there goes Bear up the passage. He doesn't like it. There it goes, hit the top. And down it comes. It takes off and goes as far as you want it to go. And it 9 times out of 10 goes straight away. If your straw is too short, it wobbles and it also then doesn't go very far. And occasionally it's a damp squid like the one we saw now, which was definitely a bad damp squid. But it works most of the time. Then the kids fetch it back and they make it go again and off. If it's at an angle going up, it will return. If it's flat, you've got to go and fetch it and then bring it back. So there are ways to do it. Now, working with the second one, let me just get other things out of the way before I make a mess. Ooh, that landed inside there. Ew. Okay, go away. Right, now I've got a bottle here, and in the bottle, I've put some vinegar. In the top, I've opened the balloon, and I put a funnel into the balloon and added some baking soda into the balloon. So that's what you can see in there is baking soda. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip it, but I am going to hold here because once it came off, and that wasn't so good, I ended up with baking soda all over me. So you now tip it. There goes your balloon. You are blowing up your balloon really nicely. The mixture of the bicarb or baking soda and the vinegar gives us air, which then blows up our balloon to a really nice, big-sized balloon. And the children love that. They have great fun making it. And then they can let it go down for a bit and then make it again or make a second one. And just some, no more than that of vinegar. In fact, that's probably too much, and about 3 spoons of baking soda in the top will do it. I overdid it today, so I've got baking soda and bicarb and everything in the balloon, but it did what I required, and that was the main thing. So you can experiment with it, and it takes about 2 hours to go down and become just a flat balloon again afterwards. So it's great fun to have your balloon blowing up and doing its thing. And you can use the same balloon over and over again. You don't have to have a new balloon for it. All right, so that one is a fun experiment. Who thinks they would like to try that one?
Oh, sure.
I will try it.
And it's fun. And it's just as much fun for me doing it and watching it explode. But when you've got little kids going, oh, my 2.5-year-old, that's his favorite one. Whenever we come, he says, Daddy got balloon, Daddy got balloon. And I know, okay, he wants to do that experiment today. And so he is able to do it as part of whatever we're doing for the day. He adds his own ones in that he likes along the way, because being a virtual grandma, you have to do things according to what appears on the screen. But it's a lot of fun, and he enjoys being with me during those times. So now, again, using a balloon and a small coin, a penny, or this is a $2. It's our smallest, one of our smallest coins. You put it inside the balloon. So you open up your balloon, you stretch your balloon around it, and you put it in. If you try with too big a coin, it's quite difficult to put it in. So now my coin is inside my balloon. I can feel it in there. I blow up my balloon. You can see the coin in the bottom. Hold on, stop sharing. You can see the coin floating around at the bottom there.
Yes.
And now I can tie the balloon, and you start to shake your balloon. And what happens is it breaks down the atoms in the balloon, and your balloon will spin and twirl, and then you throw the balloon to somebody. And it normally, when you toss the balloon to someone, it floats up and then it floats down. Not this one goes all over the place. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. They pop very easily, even if they're a good quality balloon. Because you've broken up the air inside, as soon as it touches something, if it lands on the ground or that, it will pop. And so you will have that problem. But other than that, it's great fun. And by swirling it and twirling it, your balloon really, and you can see inside how the penny, it goes all over the place. It doesn't just go round and round as you would expect. It actually has a life of its own, and it shoots up and down and round as it's breaking up the atoms inside the balloon. So it's another fun experiment to play with. Now, let's continue. Our last experiment for today is the one that I think is the most exciting of all. My children, my grandchildren all love bubbles. They have such fun playing with bubbles. Now, what you can do is, there is a gentleman, he actually comes from Japan, I think. And for 10 years, he developed a bubble that would be big enough to be, and strong enough to be able to have a person inside, or to be able to be strong enough to be used in fun ways. And I'm pretty sure he's got a few extra bits in his ones, but he has given out the recipe for you to be able to make nice, strong balloons and bubbles. And all you need is about 1 liter or 1.5 gallons of hot water, not boiling water, just hot water, a cup of good quality washing up liquid. So not the very cheap and cheerful ones, they don't work as well. One that is like, I think in England they have Fairy, that's a good quality washing up liquid, and you put a cup of that into it, and then 2 to 4 tablespoons of glycerine. That makes the bubble much thicker and much longer lasting. And if you let that stand for a couple of hours or even overnight, it somehow matures and you get an even better bubble. Then you can take pipe cleaners and make them into different shapes. And then you put those inside the water, the mixture, and you can run with this and out come square bubbles. This one will make square or oblong bubbles, which the kids find fascinating. You can also just put some into a baking tray and give them a straw. And instead of the bubbles going all over, they form a volcano, a pyramid of bubbles until the face is hidden in the bubbles and they have to stop. But it builds up. It looks like it's in inside a bag, but it's not. It's actually the bubbles all just building together. You can use a bottle end, the small end of the bottle, and then just I put some tape around it, which also because then it's not quite so sharp, although it's not really that sharp, but I found maybe it would break the bottles. So just put some tape around it, and then you put some of the liquid into it. What you can also do is you can take a piece of plastic, make some holes in the plastic, and then tape it onto your bottle. Put some of the liquid in there and blow. And then out come these myriad of bubbles from that. So that works really, really well. You can use any piece of your kitchen equipment, just baste it in the liquid and then let them run with it, and away it goes. You can put it in an old shell that you used to have as the for your a sand shell or water shell that they can stand in, or a bucket just big enough for them to stand in. Then you put your hula hoop into it and you make sure it's covered, and then you just lift the hula hoop and the child is standing in a big bubble. They get so excited that they're standing in this bubble. And when you finish, you just take all your whatever's left over, put it back in the bottle that you're storing it in, and continue to use it. But they find standing in a bubble, wow, the very best. You can
Yeah, that'd be the
make
bomb.
absolutely. You have that as a birthday party. They line up. They all want to be in the bubble. And I stood in a bubble today, and they think this is awesome. You can make a thing with just 2 straws and some string. And what you do is you thread the string through the straw, across, round, and through again, and tie a knot. So you've got a square of a straw and string. And that you put into the liquid, and then you can run with that. And again, you get some really nice big bubbles coming out behind you. Or you take 2 longer pieces of stick or dowel, whatever you want. One is a meter across or thereabouts, and one is a bit longer, 1.2 meters. You can find, I'm not sure of the size in feet. I think it's 3 feet is 5 feet is 2 meters. So 2.5 meters, 2.5 feet round about that. And then you dip it in and then you run with it again. And you can see what the little boy's one looks like. It comes out with all sorts of, it's not a whole bubble. There are bits of bubble coming out here and a bit of bubble coming out there and a centerpiece coming out here. So it's got a life of its own. And the kids love it. You can really make the most amazing bubbles with this bubble mix. My grandchildren absolutely love it. We took it to the park one day. Well, I think half the park wanted to be part of what we were doing. They just had their sticks and they were running around making these gigantic bubbles, and everybody wanted to know how they could make a bubble as big as that. And I even took the bubble mix one of these ones, and just so that I could get the middle piece out of it, put my own bubble bits in, and they could create enormous bubbles. And the other kids were saying, but my bubble's never that big, it's always only this size. How come your bubble's so big? And their comment was Granny's secret mixture. And they wouldn't tell anybody what grandma put inside her mixture to make this extra strong bubble. But it is such fun, and they really do enjoy playing with it.
Okay.
Right. Any comments, any thoughts? That back over there.
My grandkids will enjoy these things, but they're older.
But I've got, what age are they?
16,
Well, I've done it
12
with
and
14s.
14.
Yeah, I've done it with 12s and 14s, and they really do enjoy
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
12s and 14s really enjoy working with it. I've got, when we took it to the park, I had a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and then some little ones. Well, the bigger teenage kids all came to find out what on earth and how you could make something like that. It's so cool. So
Yes.
they found it really interesting. And the older ones will find standing in a bubble just a gas, something fun to do. And each take a turn to stand inside that bubble and feel the emotion of standing inside a homemade bubble, not something you bought at the shops.
Right. Mhm. Mhm.
So hopefully you'll be able to use these with your grandkids.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope they're going to enjoy it because I think I would.
Oh,
My husband
now
and I will.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Now, Janice, with your older grandkids, my structures class, they will love that, because that one, as I say, I have adults who are more competitive than the teenagers or the little ones as to who can build the highest and who can make something the strongest and who can do whatever I've asked. Because when I was teaching, I had a wonderful subject that I taught. It was called technology, but it wasn't IT. It was how things work. And so you learned how to build a structure. You learned how to make a pulley, how to do levers and things like that. And then I would have parents' evening. And the class would go, each class, their mums or dads could come with them at 6 o'clock in the evening. And I set them a task, either to launch a rocket or build a dome or whatever. Oh boy, were the dads and moms competitive. The
Yes.
kids didn't get a nose in. The parents were the ones who were going to see who could build the best structure or whatever. So it was great. It really was such fun to be able to do it. All right. So, well, oopsie, where am I? Thank you, everyone, for being in class tonight. I know it's very late for some of you, so really,
Yes.
I do appreciate you were with us. If you'd like a copy of the recording, you can get it at help@getsetup.io. If you do have fun with your grandchildren, take photos and send them to Liz at Get Set Up. She passes them on to me, and she also puts some of them up on the website so people can see the fun things that you can do. And so that is awesome to be able to do. Some of my other classes are Boredom Busters for seniors, structures, pets, and upcycling and recycling me time. So they are all available for that. We do have class notes. Oh, another rose. Thank you. I've just been given another rose from the garden. This
Oh.
one hasn't opened yet. It's just thinking this one is fully opened.
Oh, how lovely.
And they both got beautiful scents. So they really are gorgeous. We have to pick them because the birds destroy them. There's one particular bird who likes to dig into roses. I've never known that before. So we have to pick them as soon as we can.
I hadn't heard of that.
I've never ever seen it before, but they go wildfire roses. So we've got to pick as they're about to open, we have to pick
Yes.
them.
Get them before the birds do. Yes.
Mm. All right, you will get some extra classes. Some of them fit with us, some of them don't because they're random classes. But if you're looking for any of my classes, where there's a little icon where you can search, you just put in my name and my classes will come up. My ones for next week aren't up yet. Hopefully they'll go up today or tomorrow or Sunday in time for Monday. So we'll wait and see. And there is a feedback if there's something you'd like to say or add or anything that you think would help to make it better or any comments you'd like to make. It's always wonderful to read your comments as well. When you book, there's a new feature now where you can invite a friend. It's great to have friends in class. You can talk with them afterwards. So you can do that. And if there's any community that you think might be able to benefit from having these classes, please let Get Set Up know at help at Get Set Up, and they will contact them. So thank you, everyone. I hope you
you.
came up
Thank
with
you.
some ideas, things you can do and make and see. And I know it's very late, so it's bedtime for you. Have an awesome night. Sleep well. See you again soon.
Good
Thank
night.
Bye.
you.
Good
Thank you.
night,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you,
Thank you
Sue.
very much,
very much.
Brandon, for
Thank
being
you.
there too.
Thank you.
Bye.